I have a box. It's full of these. These are the palm bushings from Dude's Custom in Germany. They're harder than polyurethane, but they're a little bit softer than aluminum. So I've got these to do the front and rear subframe and the rear diff and the drive shaft carrier bearings. Yeah, I just got everything that they had. So there aren't any guides online of how to do this. So I'm just looking at pictures, and there's like one post where someone is like, hey, I did this and I had to do this. And that's it. That's just the only mention. So yeah, I'm gonna be figuring this out.
Welcome back to the Raven build series. We're picking up right where we left off on the last one, and we're going to be painting, powder coating, and installing all of the subframe and suspension components' new bushings, starting with the front subframe. Check out these before and afters of the front and rear subframes.
So here's the finished front subframe. Looks really good, all painted up and nice. And I have helicoiled this bolt. This is for the compression arm on the front suspension. So this bolt I had to cut out, drill out, and tap and helicoil, but this one's okay. This one up here is fine. But yeah, this was the only one that didn't come out. So, but it's fixed now. So we should be good. This thing is ready for bushings. Here's the rear subframe all finished. So nothing wrong with this. It just needs bushings now. So bushings. Here are, whoop. Okay, so what I have here are the Dude's Custom parts from Germany, the palm subframe bushings. We're working with the rear here. We just finished the front, and the way you install them is from the bottom. It was the same on the front subframe. Basically, you have a two-piece design like this. You can see these bushing holes have that like captive piece that's kind of curled around and like a cup. So it can't go straight through. So this goes through, and then you have this sitting here with that part of the cup sitting right in there. This is on top. So you push all these in, and then when you flip it back over before you install, you pop these on, and that gives you the perfect spacing. You don't reuse any of the factory washers. And that's it. So I'm just putting a little dab of super lube on these things and lining them up and smacking them with a dead blow hammer. So I'll show you one. Lubed up. So we'll do this one. Get it straight. And I'm backing it with my hand. And that's it. I got the rear diff bushings in. Same process. A little bit of lube, smack them with a dead blow. So that completes the rear subframe bushings. So yeah, this thing's ready to rock.
Before the subframes can go back in, the chassis needs to be addressed.
First thing I'm gonna do is I've got some cavity wax. I'm gonna spray up in the frame here, up in these parts that I can't get to, just to try and keep them nice. So I'll spray some cavity wax up in, and then I'm gonna clean up all the surface rust, take it all off, and then I'll hit it with some Pour 15. But yeah, there's a lot of factory undercoating on this still, or aftermarket, I'm not sure, and it's in good shape. So I'm not gonna take it all off just to get it down to bare metal. What I'm gonna do is any spots like this or like this, you know, or like this kind of stuff, I'm gonna take that back to bare metal and treat it and clean it up. So that's what I'm gonna do. Just kind of spot fix any of this random stuff here, this surface rust here, this crispy stuff, you know. So yeah, so that's what I'm gonna do. I'm not gonna drop the fuel tank. It looks pretty good up there. It's hard to see, but that part of the body looks really good, so we're not gonna mess with that. These are the exhaust hanger brackets. They look pretty bad, so we'll clean those up before we put them back on.
A little bit of degreasing where the subframe was is needed before I can wire wheel up the front.
Okay, so I've got everything stripped down to where I'm happy with. There's a few little spots and some small little cracks, but it's not that big of a deal. So yeah, so now I'm going to mineral spirits the whole thing and get it degreased and ready for the paint. That's a dirty job. Oh yeah. But it looks a lot better. Degreased and mineral spirits. It's the same thing. Yeah. We'll let that dry and then we'll get some paint on it. While I've got this thing up in the air, I'm gonna replace this fuel filler neck hose that goes from the filler neck to the tank. It's not really in bad shape, but it's a little soft. And if it does go bad, I'm gonna have a whole subframe here in the way. So I picked this up. This is Spectra FNH121. It's for a Ford something, but we found that it's a good replacement for this from just any part store. So I did have to trim off about 1.5 inches, 1.25 inches off this side, and it's nice and smooth, no kinks, no bends, and it fits right on. The bigger side goes here, smaller side goes here, but yeah. Okay, so I misspoke earlier. I'm actually not gonna just paint it. I've gotta etch this. So I'm gonna hit this with some rust converter and etcher, the bare metal, before I paint it. So that's what you're supposed to do. before you hit it with this coating. And what I'm going to use is this rust seal stuff. So following the directions, watching YouTube videos, that's what you're supposed to do. So I'm going to do that. So you get it wet, you put the rust converter on, and then you rinse it off, and then I'll mineral spirits it, get it real dry again, and then I will paint it. Okay, so I've got the gel on, and you can see it's frothing up already, so it's working. Oh, I missed a spot. Yeah. There we go. So that has to sit on there for about a half hour, then you rinse it off. Yeah, it's foaming up, which means it's doing stuff. So that's good. So we'll let that go. I put plastic down because I don't know if you can hear it. It just drips. And it gets all over you because you're spraying above yourself. And yeah, so again, same stuff I used on the engine bay. It's pretty good stuff. I'm happy with it. It says don't eat it, so I won't. All right, so I've got it all rinsed off. Now it's just gonna dry, but you can see kind of what it looks like when it's etched. It gets like this rainbowy, the pores are all open and the metal turns kind of rainbow colored, but I mean, it looks a lot better. Here's like a before and after of this area.
Now it's on to painting. This is the last and most rewarding step of this process. Restoring the chassis like this is a ton of work, so if you're on the fence about it, just do it. One step at a time, chip away at it. Save these cars.
Okay, that's it. I've gotten everywhere that there was bare metal that I treated, and yeah, that stuff's hard to put on. It's like tar. It's like trying to spread tar. It doesn't glide or anything, so you just have to like lay it on and push and spread it. It's hard, but yeah, so I'm gonna let that set up for a little bit, and then I'm gonna go back around and spot check and touch up anything that might need touched up. But yeah, that took a long time, but it was worth it. It'll look really nice. Yeah, I'll show you what it looks like. Take a look. Here is everything fixed. I'm gonna spray up in there once this all dries and everything. But yeah, looking a lot better. Looking real good. The back area. Back areas. I know this is all bent, but like, it's fine. I could try and straighten it, but it wouldn't really do anything. So the back frame, yeah, really happy with it. It looks good. The car looks great. You know, everything looks good. So that's a win, and it's done. Okay, so here's where we're at with all the subframe and suspension bolts. They were sitting in the vinegar jars for about a week, and they came out pretty decent actually. So now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to hit them with the wire wheel to take off the rest of this stuff, and then we're going to coat them with black oxide. So to the wire wheel that's over there. Okay, so they're cleaning up pretty nice. I mean, here is before wire wheel, after wire wheel. You see it's definitely shined up. And I've done that so far. Not much to go. All the bolts have been wire wheeled now. They look really good. Ready for coating. Okay, so the next step in the bolt process is some black oxide. So we've got the bolts here. They've been derusted, degreased, wire wheeled, and cleaned. And now they're ready to be turned black oxide. So there's just bare steel right now. Looks pretty good. So I've got 1 gallon of distilled water here. I'm gonna add this whole bottle. That'll make 1.25 gallons of the black oxide stuff. So then we'll let the bolts soak in that for about 5 minutes. Then we'll rinse them off with some water here, and then we'll dry them and soak them in some sort of oil stuff. Doesn't look black. Okay. Now they're down in the black oxide mix. And they're already turning. You can see it on this one, especially. So we'll let those sit for 5 minutes, and then we'll rinse them, dry them, and put them in oil. Okay, they're rinsed, dried off, and now they're soaking in some motor oil. This is just some 5W30 conventional. And yeah, we'll let those soak in there for a while, and then take them out, and they should be ready to go on the car. Okay, so I've been letting the bolts sit overnight, and I don't know if that's too long or what, but I think sitting in oil longer isn't going to hurt anything. So let's just clean one off here. Oh wow, that looks great. Wow, yeah, that looks awesome. Here's a before, during, and after. Alright, now I'm going to use this, and I'm going to dump these into this bucket through the strainer, and I'll keep the oil and I'll put it back in this jar so that I can use it, because I'm sure that I'm going to have plenty more bolts that need done for this thing. So, still got lots of black oxide mix. Then I'll have my oil. So, yeah. I'll strain these out and we'll get a good look at them. Okay, so there are all the finished bolts. They turned out great. I mean, they look amazing. So, they still have a little bit of oil on them, but that's not going to hurt anything at all. That'll just protect them even better. So, and I've still got lots of juice to use at some point if I need to, and oil, some oil here. So, yep, there they are.
Next, we need to powder coat all of the parts that were sandblasted in the last video.
In you go, babies. Goodbye.
I'm very happy with the results, and with the powder coating finished for now, we can move on to finishing the steering rack.
I did a little wire wheeling. Now I'm going to mineral spirits it and get it ready to paint it up. I'm just going to paint the whole thing black. It'll just keep this aluminum from oxidizing, and it'll seal it up. So that's really all I care about. You're not going to see it, so yep, that's what I'm going to do. I've got it all painted up. It looks wet, but it's actually just really glossy. So I've got new boots and tie rods, inners and outers for both sides. But I wanted to paint it first and use these as kind of just so I didn't have to mask anything. So next, for the steering rack, I will take all that off and put the new boots and tie rods on, and this thing will be ready to go back in.
With the rack all ready to go, we can finish up the knuckles and control arms.
Alright, these turned out pretty good. I'm really happy with it. So these are ready for new bearings. Yeah. So this is what I'm using to paint most all this stuff. So gloss black, Rust-Oleum engine enamel, stops rust. Okay, so these are the lower control arms. They kind of have a paint on them. These are the brand new Mevotech Supremes. I don't know. It's kind of a paint, but there's also like scratches on it. So I'm just gonna hit them with some of the same gloss paint I'm hitting everything with, just to seal them up and so they stay nice. Same thing with these compression arms. They're painted-ish, but it's kind of, I don't know, it's kind of light and it's scratched off on the corners, so I just want to keep these things looking nice as they can for as long as possible. So I'm going to paint these two. Alright, this is the knuckle assembly table. So here we've got bushings for the rear knuckles here, bearings for the front, bearings for the rear. And that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna assemble all that. Oh, okay, so we've got one rear knuckle done. The new bearing's in. It's great. All the bushings are in. And the brake shield's on, obviously. So this one's done. It looks great. Now we're just gonna do the other one. All right, that's a front knuckle ready to go. No dust shield on these because big brakes, no dust shields. We'll see the other one. Yeah, that car roll nice. All right, that's the knuckles ready to go.
Is that live?
Yeah, just the end. We're live. Rear trailing arms, they've got their Bushings in them. Okay, I've got the rear upper control arms finished. So, as you can see, I've got the poly bushings in. They look real nice. And then these get torqued down 41 foot-pounds. That takes care of all the rear arms. So all that's left are the front uppers and lowers. So, let's get to those.
The stock rear lower control arms and toe arms weren't able to be reused, so I picked up some Volk Metalcraft arms to replace them.
So these are the pieces that go from the upper control arm up through the strut tower, and those hold the top of it. And I've got these energy suspension bushings. I usually do Prothane because they're split, but Prothane doesn't have black in these, so I got energy suspension. So you got to squeeze these in. They came with this lube. I already did one, that's why I got into it. Wanted to make sure I knew what I was doing before I showed the whole world or all 15 people watching, but basically you just got to get this thing all lubed up. And this stuff is like, this lube is sticky. It's slippery and sticky, but mostly sticky. and it's weird. So yeah, anyone who's done this knows what I mean. It like is the stickiest stuff. So yeah, basically you just kind of squeeze it in. I'm using the vise here. Try and get it as straight as you can. And then run it in. There you go. Yeah. Yep. So I'm gonna go in till I bottom out, and I'm gonna back it up because there's a lip that's got to come through the other side. So then I just give it a slap, and there it is. That's all the way through. Then you've got the inner sleeve. Ugh, this stuff. Grease up the goodness. I mean, look at this. It's nuts. And that goes in like that, and that's done. That's what that looks like. So I'm gonna do the rest of them, and then I'll put the arms together, and then I've got ball joints for them. So I've got the upper part finished. So there they are, finished and torqued. These get 41 foot-pounds just like the rear ones did. So now I've got these, which are Moog ball joints. So I was gonna just get the Moog control arm that has the Moog ball joint in it already, because those are good ball joints, but I couldn't find these. So I found some that are fully reinforced. They look just like the Moog or OEM ones, but they were not Moog and they were cheaper. And then I pressed out the ball joints. I'll put the Moog ball joints in, and since I was gonna put poly bushings in there anyway, it didn't matter what kind of bushing that was. So yeah, now I've got the Moog bushings, the Moog ball joints to put in. Okay, so I have one of the lowers done. So in the kit, the Energy or the Pro thing, you're only supposed to take this bushing out. Well, I took this one out too, but it happens to be that this is the same size as this in all dimensions. So I just got a Pro thing kit, so that's poly on both now. Oh, excuse me. Okay, so here's what I ended up doing with the upper control arms for the front. These are Mevotech Supreme arms with the Mevotech Supreme ball joint. It's a sealed ball joint like the Moogs, like I wanted, but I put the upper parts from those no-name brands that I got before that didn't work with the Moog ball joints because I already pushed the poly bushings in. So I'm gonna hold on to the Moog ball joints and see if I can track down some OEM ones or some Moog arms and just keep them as spares, or you know, if someone's in a pinch at the shootout or something, here's some ball joints. Hope you have arms that they fit in. So yeah, so these are ready to go on the car.
There's just a few things left to paint up before it all goes back in, starting with the gas tank shield.
I've transferred all the filth to me. I guess it's not that bad. I've seen worse. So this is good enough. I knocked all the loose stuff off. I'm gonna hit it with some of this rust reformer. This will kind of seal it in. And then I'm gonna hit it with some grill paint, since this thing sits right over the exhaust. This thing's kind of rough. So I think I'm gonna just kind of passively be on the lookout for a better shaped one that I can like do a proper restore on and swap it out. One that isn't so holy. But this will work for now. This will keep it good for, I mean, they'll stop it from rusting and it'll be fine. So you don't even really need this on the car, but I have it, so might as well. So let's hit it. This stuff's pretty interesting. It says to just do a single coat and then let it dry for 24 hours and then paint over it. So I'm gonna let it dry for more than 24 hours and then I'll paint over it. So this is one of the rear CV shafts. I'm gonna clean these up they're fine, just a little dingy, you can see. So I'm gonna clean these up and paint them just so they don't rust. Just gonna wire wheel them, then mineral spirits, then paint. The usual. So the coilovers I got are the Tane Flex Z. That's how most of the internet says you're supposed to say that, so I'm part of that statistic now. They're green, and I don't want green in the engine bay, so I'm just gonna black just these top hats. I know I'll get in here too, but it'll be fine. Yeah, we can't have green. It's just, that's not gonna be okay. So, yep, I'm gonna fog them.
With the painting, powder coating, bushings installed, and underbelly restored, it's finally time for some reassembly. So make sure you subscribe, you won't want to miss it.
Oh, was that time lapse? No. Hell.